one of the challenges I've always had is that they're in this high school and they've been in this high school experience for 12 years where late work is accepted, where exceptions are made for everyone and everything. And so part of it is you can't really hold them completely, blame them totally for everything, but you have to break them away. And I have found that, just do a quick firm break, be done with it, and let's get this over with. And so if they don't turn it in for any reason, I give them a 0. Now I make sure it's low points. So if it doesn't get turned in, their grade's really not going to be affected, but the big fight is late work's not accepted. It's got to be on time. Your excuses don't count. Of course there are exceptions to it. We had a big snowstorm yesterday. Of course, get here safely, but really I don't accept anything else. And I tell them, find a printer, find something else. Well, the library's busy, the counseling center, it's up to them to do it. I mention the writing center down at Slick on Redwood campus, but I don't tell them anymore. I said, you have to go get this, because they're used to reading, read it, answer the question, read it, answer the question. Now here it's read it and think. Reread it and think some more. Reread it and think some more. And suddenly the light starts dawning on them. Hey, wait a minute, this is going on. Another thing I do is I always push for them to get the one card. The one card. And I say, if your parents don't have a lot of money or they can't pay for tuition, that's fine. Say, hey, put $30 on the one card and you can take it to Slick's campus, get yourself a meal. I mean, that's something. I actually come out and I show them my backpack. I say, hey, look what I got in here. I've got extra pens. I got extra paper. I got extra folders. I got $25, $30 stashed at the bottom, because you know what? That's when it's going to snow. That's when you're going to need $10 for gas to get home, and you're going to want a meal. Well, there you got it. I actually go through how to do this, how to chipmunk your food, how to the actual things of doing this, and about how caffeine is your friend. I mean, you get used to it because you've got school, you've got work, you got a significant other, you got your parents, you got your friends, and so these little mini lessons that are real world, that don't necessarily have anything to do directly with my curriculum, but they do help in the long run, such that on a lot of my evaluations they go, oh my gosh, I actually learned how to navigate college itself. And the idea is, you want to throw them in the water, but you want to keep it so it's about 6.5 feet deep, kind of an analogy, so they can bounce to the surface. And it gets deeper as we go through the semester when they realize he's serious, he's not going to accept it late. Well, I know, that's it. He's serious, he's not going to do this. And the assignments I get less and less hands-on. It doesn't mean I don't do my job, it doesn't mean I don't, but it means you know what I expect now. I expect you further along this path before I help you. And that way I kind of wean them off, and they kind of, by the end, it's like, do a response, here's an article we're going to read. Do a response paper on that one page. They know exactly what I mean. And one of my assignments I do is I take them over to the computer lab and I say, here's your article. I want you to read it. I want you to respond to it. You got one page type. You have 50 minutes, turn it in. That way they get used to, typing on demand and, pulling that all-nighter and getting that. And oftentimes those are the ones they do really well because they can't overthink it. They just got to, I know I'm in a hurry, but that's college life too. You read your audience. I've done this for 18 years and, and I think anybody who's taught for about at least 4 or 5 years, you start to read your audience and you see what they're ready for. When you do give them an assignment and if they turn it in and everybody's missed the boat, stop, go back, start over and bring them forward and let them rewrite it. It's no sin. At the bottom of my syllabus it says it may change subject to, so if it takes an extra day, then it takes an extra day. But the point is, if you lose them all, stop, go back, bring them in. That's that first quarter. We run on the semester system, but in the public school, you have 2 quarters. It's that first quarter that's really logistics. And then by the end of that first one, they're clicking along, then they get it, and you will see it. And they'll start to turn it in, they'll get it. And it's almost like any decent actor or because that's what we do when we teach is we act. We'll read that, and you can kind of read and see how it is. And sometimes I always err on the side of being a little on the harsh side sometimes. Like, hey, get it done. And it's okay to say, that's what's going to be due, that's when it's going to be done, you know what I expect, I've given you examples, now it's time to swim. Well, where's the writing center? I don't know, you figure it out. You got phones. Everybody complains they bring them out. Well, you got them out now, you might as well look it up, give them a call. And then I have them, and when somebody finds out about the one card, how to get it, or where the writing center is, I haven't put it on the board for everybody else. Why do I have to do the work? And so you kind of share that as you go on, and then as time goes on, again, like you just keep pulling back because then they don't need it, and then one day you say, you're on your own, look, you've done all of this, you know you can do it, now it's time to ride the bike on your own. And essentially that's what it is. That first couple of weeks, the biggest fight you have is that late work's not accepted. That's the one, I'd rather climb up the, I'll ascend Everest. That's the one, because they were in this high school system where late work is always accepted, where, somebody complains, or some mommy complains, or the kid complains, or I've got this, or I've got that, where that's why I give that first assignment. That's not worth a lot. So if you turn it in, don't turn it in. It's not a deal killer. That way they kind of realize, wait a minute, he's serious about this. This isn't something, wow, this really is college. And it is daunting. And I tell them,
we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you. Go Wolverines.
Don't put that in. What? And I tell them point blank, I'm not here to be mean. This is what you're going to encounter in the workplace. This is what you're going to encounter in school. I tell them a few stories about, my own experiences, and they kind of go, wow, but that's what's expected. And so they kind of know it, and they get in. And I think it's okay to be nervous. I think it's okay to be anxious. Not falling down, oh my gosh, I'm losing my marbles, but I got to stay on top of it, because that kind of gets you going a little bit, and it kind of keeps you amped up a little bit. And then you kind of, like I said, you read them and you see how people are doing, and it's okay. If you think that you've pushed them hard enough, it's okay to say, do you want the essay due on Monday, or you want to do on Wednesday? Well, everybody's going to say Wednesday, but if they genuinely feel like, hey, look, Wednesday really would be better for us, then let it slide and cut them a little bit of slack. But you're not giving them a hand out, you're giving them a hand up. They've proven themselves up to that point. Now you're just saying, hey, turn it in Wednesday, we'll call it good, but then it's due on Wednesday, and I'm going to be a hard grader when I get this done. Boom. I do tell them, college is about getting a job. It is about doing, but I also say really the foremost thing about college is about learning about your place in this world, learning about the new worlds that exist that you never knew existed, and experiencing them. I use my own. I said, I've got degrees in English and philosophy. Well, you don't get a degree in philosophy for a job. English, it isn't going to happen unless you're a teacher. But I wouldn't trade that, because I learned so much about the world and the way it worked being in college from people who have studied that craft for 15, 20 years, 25 years, who have been around. And then that's really what I want them to experience. There's more out there, and many of them will complain, I'm not getting the A. Guess what? You're not giving me A material. You're writing a formally good essay, but it says nothing, because you haven't had any experiences. You have to get out. You have to take a risk. You have to go. I have topics. They're doing the argument essay that's required, and I let them pick their own topic, and I tell them, stretch a little bit, go outside of the box, argue a position, the opposite position of something you agree with. And I've had a lot of students come back and go, wow, I changed my opinion about this, or I changed my opinion about that, or I'm much more tolerant of this position, which is really what being in college is all about. That's really it. So that's how I do it. Keep expectations clear, and the really big thing is, in the high school too, it's really hard. You get attached to the students, and it's really hard to be firm. I had some kids who didn't turn in an essay, and I liked them. They were great kids. I've had them for a couple of years. In high school, we get that, where I've had a student, I've had 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and boy, you left that essay at home on the kitchen table. I've got to give you a 0. As much as, so don't confuse being hard and firm with being, mean. Understand you have to have that. The hardness comes from, like, the logistics of it. No late papers. They have to be typed. They have to be MLA. Your reading has to get done. If I'm noticing the classes and getting the reading done, well, there could be a pop quiz there. The logistics are really what they need to do. That's where that firmness comes in. And then the grading is, I want really good writing. My rubric is, a C is you do exactly what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. A B is either your writing or your ideas are good. And an A, which is difficult to earn, they're both good. And I constantly tell myself, I'm not doing this to be mean or nasty. I'm doing this because this is what you will be required to do, because so many use Slick as a launch pad to go off to other universities. And if you go from here to the U, boy, that's a shift. That's a slaughterhouse. And you've got to be ready, and you've got to be strong. So think of it as, I'm being tough on you, almost like a sport. I'm being tough on you, but that way when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And so it's not motivated by meanness. It's actually motivated by, I want you to succeed. And if I have to be mean, I'm not mean, but if I have to be like the father, like sometimes you're a dad and sometimes you're a father, and sometimes you're like, hey, we can work this out, and other times, no, you get it done. Teaching is almost like that. Here it is. You can't turn it in late. You can't do this. It might be unfair, but that's the way it's going to be. On the other hand, let's grade it. You know what? You worked really hard on this. You missed the boat. Rewrite it. Let me talk to you about this. I do a lot of the writing with conferences, and I sit down and I conference with a lot of them on a lot of their writing. Not all, you can't do it all, but on writing. And sometimes if I do see them missing the boat, that's where okay, I see you're always here. You're always working. You missed it here. Do this one. And then maybe the next one I might say, you know what, I've let you slide, and I've worked with you, and I don't have a problem with it. But this one, there's no rewrite. You got to turn it in. You got to take the grade you're given, because that's the way it is. And you just go from there.